Hello, everyone. We should all be live. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And then we are going to be ready to start in a second. It's always nice to see this many people joining. So let's give everyone a second to join. And in the meantime, I just wanted to let you know that if you have any questions, you feel free to drop them in the chat. And then I will be making breaks every 5 minutes or so to check the chat and see if there are any questions, anything that I can clarify in addition to the topics that we are going to cover today. And it is quite a hot topic lately. So, as you know, we are going to discuss copyrights and surrounding topics. We receive multiple questions from clients regarding proof of copyright and rules that apply to proof of copyright. So, during this session, we are going to discuss how best to navigate this space. As some of you have stated and noticed very correctly, you have probably seen that you're receiving a request for proof of copyright more often. This is because most major stores are noticeably stricter than they were a year ago regarding copyright. And that is because multiple things converged at the same time, but the one that everyone is very mindful of is AI. So we are going to touch AI in more detail later on, but obviously during the last year, we have seen a surge in AI generated books. And in addition to that, we are continuously seeing the uploads of public domain books or near public domain works. So as a result, stores are tightening their checks to get ahead of anything that might be happening in this space. And this is why you are receiving, for some of your books, the request to provide proof of copyright. Like I said, this would happen during your book's review process. You may receive a notification requesting documentation to confirm that you're the holder of the exclusive rights to publish the book in question. This is because we want to ensure that the publisher, be it the author or the publishing house, hold exclusive publishing rights. They ensure that you have complete control over the content. You get to decide how, when, where the content gets published. Obviously, it's important to note, and I know that I have noted that previously, that any material that is obtained from third-party sources like public domains work may not qualify if you don't hold the rights to alter or distribute the material. So the notification you receive is a precautionary measure, and it is implemented by our book review team. So the idea is we are looking to ensure a smooth publication process and avoid any potential legal complication in the process. Books may trigger this request due to similarities with existing works by different authors. Sometimes it might be due to the common subject matter or suspicions of content repackaging from freely available online sources. So I just want to remind everyone that Amazon has something like tens of millions of different titles available. So to be expected that there are sometimes going to be similarities. I want to be perfectly clear. This is not about mistrust. It's not about bureaucracy. It is about your protection, clarity, and making sure that your books can be sold globally without any interruptions. The document that we are requesting is just intended to verify that the person who uploads a book owns the necessary rights, and that's it. So that is why we're asking for that. For example, it can be that the book's content or title closely resembles other existing works. We're talking about tens of millions of works that are available in some of the stores that we work with. So it is going to happen that there are going to be similar topics, there are going to be similar titles, and the idea is for you to be able to distinguish your work. Kathy, thank you for your question. Kathy's asking who I am. My name is Anna, and I am a key account manager in PublishDrive. I have been working here for 2 years, and we do these customer success webinars once a month. So I just got used to that and assumed that everyone was familiar. I apologize for that. So, additionally, why we might request the documentation. The book that we're looking at might appear similar to material that can be found in open source databases or similar. There are some suspicions of content repackaging, ghostwriting, potentially previous publication under another name or publisher. These checks, as I said, they're a precautionary measure. They're not an accusation. And the idea is to ensure that you hold the rights needed. You will be asked for an exclusive copyright document. An exclusive copyright document proves that you hold the full publishing and distribution rights to the content. So it confirms that you are the original creator or that you have secured the rights from the copyright holder to distribute the book in digital and or print formats, again, regardless of the format, and that no other publisher has exclusive rights to the same content. Does this mean that copyright certificate is not mandatory for any book? You may be asked to provide it for any book. So you're not going to be asked probably for 100% of your titles, but you may be asked for any of the titles. What does this copyright document look like? We will get to that in a second. The next thing we're going to cover is going to be acceptable proof of rights. So what type of document would be necessary and who would be providing that, assuming that depending on whether you are a publisher who bought rights or you have a contract with a ghostwriter or you're the person who wrote the book, etc. Where do we get this document and how is proof required? So I will get to that as well. Yasmin is asking for a recorded stream. Yes, all the webinars are being recorded and you will automatically receive the recording by end of day today. So a couple of hours probably after the webinar ends. How do you do this when you've written the book? Again, we will get to that in a second. What about the copyrights in the USA that have been delayed due to the first government shutdown? Should authors still wait to receive copyright confirmation before publishing? Yes, I can only sympathize for the delay and the issue, but I would recommend still waiting for the copyright confirmation. How does this apply in the UK? Same as everywhere else. Me and I would reach out to the support team because that is regarding a specific book, specific instance, and I can't speak to that without actually checking the document and the book in question. So I would recommend reaching out to our support team and they can advise what the issue was. So I'm going to go back to what would be a considered proof of rights, again, depending on your situation. It's not going to be the same for everybody. It is going to depend on your specific situation. If your book was previously, if you're an author and the book has previously been published by a different publisher, you would need a letter from that said previous publisher confirming that all rights have been reverted to you as an author or to a new publisher. So for publishers who are working with authors, you would need a signed agreement between you as a publisher and the original author stating that the author grants exclusive worldwide rights to publish and distribute the work. This agreement has to include verified digital signatures. There are multiple electronic signature softwares. Most well known and most used are probably DocuSign or Adobe Acrobat Sign, but there are others, and we do accept others as well. But they do need to be verified digital signatures. So they cannot be documents with pasted images instead of signed signatures or signed by hand. They need to be signed electronically. And also the author's identity we need to be able to verify the identity, of the author. So the name, email, and signature must match official records. So that is specifically pertaining to the publishers who are working with authors. So if you have a content that is written by ghostwriters or freelancers, so you would need a signed ghostwriting contract from a reputable company or verified freelancer platform, so like Fiverr, Upwork, whichever, transferring the rights to you. So again, for books that were previously published, for example, on Amazon Kindle, but not in the KDP Select or Kindle Unlimited. So you would need a signed agreement between you and the author, or a letter from the previous publisher that is confirming that they do not object to your edition. And the question that is most commonly asked is for original works. For the authors who are publishing their own work, you would need an official copyright certificate issued by a recognized government copyright office. There is a list of copyright offices by country, because these are going to be country specific, and I'm going to share it in the chat here. So there is going to be an individual body in each country that is responsible for issuing proofs of copyrights. For the United States, that is a US Copyright Office. For UK, it's Intellectual Property Office. And then we have individuals for some of our biggest markets. So for Australia, Canada, Nigeria, India, Kenya. So there are individual offices that would issue these. It can be time consuming and it can be frustrating, and I fully appreciate that. Our team is trying to make this as streamlined as possible, but unfortunately, there is no way around the proof of copyright, especially in the evolving ecosystem of publishing now and the number of authors and titles that are available across multiple stores. So there are things that we cannot accept as valid proof of copyright. So personal statements and declarations, unverified or unsigned contracts, copyright application without the official registration, a certificate from copyright proof or timestamping websites like Safe Creative or Protect My Work, self-written contracts, screenshots showing books on the other platforms, proof of ISBN purchase, a copy of your book's copyright page or manuscript. So, like I said, I understand that it can be time consuming and frustrating, but unfortunately, it is absolutely essential for everyone's protection and for your ability to publish your books and make your books available across the world. So for them to be legally valid, electronic agreements have to include verified digital signatures of all involved parties. So like official tools like TrustSign, DocuSign, Adobe Acrobat Sign, and others. They're not the only ones, but they are probably the most common ones. Also, metadata needs to verify the document's integrity. So the timestamp, IP address, signer identity, full names, and email addresses of both people who signed, and no missing pages, unsigned annexes. So also Word documents, PDF documents, scans without verification or with missing signature pages cannot be accepted. So I also want to make sure that everyone is mindful of the review time. So once you submit your documentation, the book review team is going to verify the files within 2 business days. If proof is accepted, your title is going to be approved for distribution. And if there is additional clarification needed, our team is going to contact you directly via email. So essentially, you would just go to your book's editing page by clicking on View and Edit under the Books page. In the File section, you will see Options button, and when you click on it, few more options for file upload will show up. You will select the one acknowledgement of exclusive copyright and just upload your document there. So before we continue, we are going to go back to the questions because I can see that there are some. Do copyright documents from other countries outside US require equivalency of some sort to equate it to the US? But essentially, you would need to provide the proof of copyright from your country of residence. If you're residing in the US, you would be required to provide the copyright that is provided by the US body. Every country has their own body that provides these. So you would just provide the one depending on your country of residence. If you don't live in the US, you wouldn't be required to get the proof of copyright from the US office. When I looked into this before, I was told that I automatically had the copyright and there was nothing else to be done. There is a difference holding the right and having proof of that. I will be the first one to admit that in the past year, stores and all the aggregators, as a result, have become much stricter in reviewing the copyright. Once you create your book, once you write it, you do own the copyright. It's just that we need, and by we, I mean PublishDrive as an aggregator, I mean individual stores, proof of copyright. When you talk about the difference between simply including a copyright notice on the book copyright page versus applying for a formal registered copyright, or is this only about PublishDrive's request for proof of copyright? We are specifically going to be talking about our request for proof of copyright. If you need information regarding how your book's copyright page would look like, you can find that information in our help center. You can reach out to our support team for advice. Yes, your book does need to include it. Here we are talking about having your work formally registered and being able to provide proof of that in order to proceed with publishing and distribution across the board. What about pen names? Pen names are perfectly fine. So you can use any pen name you want. You can have all the pen names you would like. It's just that you, as a person who is behind the PublishDrive account, you would be the one who needs to hold the rights, regardless of the pen name used. I have a team of writers. I have a registered company in US. So how can I provide copyright docs of proof that our team wrote them? You own the company, you apply for the proof of copyright because the work that has been produced by your writers belongs to your company. What about books written by AI? Some stores don't accept AI books, most do, but in that case, you're required to list this when uploading your books. It needs to be shared that AI has been either involved in writing or wrote the whole thing, depending on the case, but you would still need to apply for copyright regardless of the AI. Will you share the list of these offices in the different countries? I have shared the link. Is it legitimate and recommended to register copyright online? Don't use Protect My Work because not accepted. When it comes to the US, so it would need to come through copyright.gov, which is the link that you have referenced. Protect My Work is not accepted. Does PublishDrive usually conduct a plagiarism check on a book that has been uploaded pending approval? Yes, we do. If you have any suspicions that your book might not pass plagiarism check, I would recommend you run it too, but we do run that. What about EU? There is no such thing as a copyright office here. Are we supposed to register in another country such as US or Canada? There isn't a copyright office as such, but there are government bodies that differ by country that will provide proof of copyright. And no, you wouldn't need to register in another country. Within the EU, there is a government body that will provide proof of copyright upon request. Please provide a sample of the documents you accept or examples of docs you accept. Without this, it is confusing. So me and you would need to apply for proof of copyright in your country of residence. They will tell you exactly what you need to provide in order for that to be issued by the government body. Without knowing which country of residence, unfortunately, I can't give you more details. But if you're not sure, you can reach out to our support team and they can share the details as well. Do we need to upload the copyright every time we want to publish a new book, or only when PublishDrive asks? Only upon request. So, as I said, sometimes it is going to be more often. Sometimes some authors are not going to get these requests at all. Again, this depends on the book itself, on the author, because especially for nonfiction, there are a lot of books that deal with very similar topics at times. And for those, team is going to be more likely to ask for proof of copyright, simply because of the sheer volume of the available materials across different stores. What is the concern if one is the author, their LLC is solely owned, and the publisher, and they use the ISBN for their country and residence, and LLC a registration? This is simply the process that is in place across the board for everyone, simply because if there are multiple processes for multiple instances, that can easily make things more complicated. If I have registered but have not received confirmation, can I publish? Typically, no, but what I would recommend that for some countries, I know that receiving the proof of copyright can be very time consuming, depending again on the body that issues these. If that is the case in your instance, you can reach out to the support team, share proof, and they will let you know if it's possible to publish prior to receiving proof of copyright. Like I said, that is on case by case basis, because we do recognize that some countries have prolonged processes. Is applying for copyright a different process than generating a signed letter? It is, but you would need to do one or the other depending on your situation. If you are the author, you would apply for a copyright. If you are a publisher working with a ghostwriter, you would have a signed letter, contract, something with a ghostwriter. So there are different cases depending on the roles. Not all countries have copyright offices or a requirement for registration to have copyright. That's correct. But still, all the countries do have bodies that will issue proof of copyright upon request. After we submit the copyright and the book goes to the platforms for sale, is there any chance that the books will be blocked from the platforms? If yes, will we still receive the royalties we earned until that moment, or will the platform retain that? For example, Amazon keeps 2 months worth of royalties if they block a book. So there is a chance that platforms will block a book. Each store has this right. If the books are blocked, we will initially hold the royalties. That doesn't mean that we're holding them forever. If you can prove the copyright, if you can prove that you own the book, even after it has been blocked, the royalties will be released. If not, the royalties will be withheld. When you write a book series, should we register the whole series or each book? Whichever is easier for you, because we will accept either as long as the copyright is correctly handled. So I need government docs to prove that, or is there any other way other than Copyright Office, for example, USA? If our team asks for proof of copyright, you do for USA specifically, because you mentioned that you own a company there, the proof of copyright will need to be provided through the government office that issues proof of copyright, yes. Is it really worth going through this considering you might not be asked for it? Not better. Is it not better to get proof if needed? So either way works for us, because the only reason why this is flagged ahead of time is because there are countries where this process can be time consuming. And if you do think that your work is likely to request a proof of copyright, getting it ahead of time can save time and money. You can get the proof if you need it, for sure. And that is what probably most clients do. I'm just saying that there are countries where this process can be much longer compared to some others. Okay. From listening, I gather one will not know if you demand copyright proof until the entire process of publishing with PublishDrive is completed. So not all titles will trigger the request to provide copyright proof. So we will not require it for each individual book. We do not require for all the books. We typically, book review team requests proof of copyright if content or cover or title closely existing works. Again, if books are similar to materials that can be found readily available online, or they're in open source databases, or if there are suspicions of content repackaging, ghostwriting, or having previous publications under another name and publisher without communicating that to us. So no, not everyone will be asked. I meant if we already provided proof of copyright before publishing the book, is there a chance we can still be blocked? There is. It's very unlikely, but it can happen. Why am I saying this? Because every book undergoes book review on our end, but once it's sent to the stores, it is going to undergo their individual book reviews processes as well. If a store finds anything suspicious, they can block. It's unlikely that they will catch something we didn't, but it can happen. If that happens, we will reach out, we will share what happened, and then we will work with you to address this if this is incorrect. It happens. We're talking about huge systems, especially stores like Apple and Amazon and Google. Again, millions of titles. It can happen. It's unlikely it will happen. If it happens, we will work with you to help you make sure if you own the copyright, we will help you navigate the communication with the store. But it can happen. Naming my imprint. Can I use the title of a book or short story by long dead author for my imprint name? No, I would recommend against it. Simply because it might not trigger anything, I would just avoid that. Because generally, when it comes to PublishDrive, we don't publish public domain books, and this can cause misunderstandings. Since we already provided the proof of copyright, we should receive the royalties through Amazon. Although if store blocks the book, everything is blocked until we figure out if there is a copyright infringement or not. I'm in Switzerland. Switzerland has no copyright registration system. Copyright arises automatically upon creation. What documentation would you accept from authors in jurisdiction without formal registration? Without checking, I can't, off the top of my head, speak to documentation regarding the country. I understand that there is no copyright registration system, but there are government bodies that will provide copyright proof. I can get back to you on the specific body that you would be reaching out to. One thing that is also worth noting is that PublishDrive only accept books that you own the exclusive publishing rights to. So be the original author, or you have to hold the legal rights that are granted by the author to publish and distribute the work. So this essentially means that you have complete control over the content. So you get to decide, how, when, where it's published. So we do not currently publish public domain texts. So we are essentially dedicated to publishing original content. Also, we do not accept private label rights publications. So they often have repackaged content from free online sources, and that goes against our publishing guidelines. We'll review the originality of the books that are submitted to us. That speaks to one of the questions that was asked previously. So if the content, the basis of your book, is freely available under different author names or on any sites, we will stop the publishing process. If the book is very similar to other books about the same topics that are available in the market, the book might get rejected. If you have the legal documentation that proves that you have the publishing rights, that is going to address the issue. When it comes to AI, so the use of AI in content creation is fine. So obviously it is happening more and more. We're seeing a lot of that. And we do accept books that have in part or fully been created by AI, but this needs to be acknowledged and marked. So in published works, we need to have the AI generated content marked as such. AI regulations, why we have to do that? Because stores accept different things. There are still stores that do not accept AI narrated books or AI created books, etc. Also, we're talking about a variety of different countries, and AI regulations can differ quite a bit from one country to another. There are regions that have specific requirements for disclosing the use of AI, and others may have some restrictions or concerns about authenticity and intellectual property. Several of the stores require publishers and authors to provide clear information about the use of AI. For audiobooks, this is absolutely essential for Overdrive and Dreamier. For ebooks, Overdrive still does not accept AI generated content. Others do, but they require the AI to be noted. Overdrive has opted to exclude this type of content. So again, this is not necessarily set in stone. These things change over time. And as these things are updated, we do update the information that is available in our help center. Anthony, you're very welcome. I fully understand that you want to be clear on the process, which only makes sense. I will get back to you on that. But like I said, off the top of my head, I don't know each individual government body for all the countries that use our services. You can publish your book for free on Amazon KDP, Barnes& Noble, Ingram Spark, and through Draft to Digital, which put the books in e-libraries and stores all over, and you don't have to pay them. Why publish with PublishDrive? But you do have to pay them. It has a subscription-based payment system versus others who are taking a percentage. So ultimately, it is up to how you would like to organize and what works best for your specific publishing effort. How will I get proof that I wrote the book and not with someone else's book for the copyright? So for the book that you have written, you would apply for proof of copyright in your country of residence. Depending on the country, there are different government bodies. There are either copyright offices or different government bodies that will provide this upon request. What if a book created with AI is not marked as an AI created book? So it will be sent back saying that use of AI in creating content can be detected with the validators that are used to validate the books that are submitted for publishing. If this is not marked, the book will be sent back with a note that there was AI use detected, asking you to include that in the metadata. My memoir, Under the Wings of a Good Luck Phoenix, is self-published a number of years ago. I want to do major work on it and offer it to PublishDrive under the name of a Good Luck Phoenix. Is that possible? Yes, it is. As long as a proof of copyright, that is perfectly fine. How is AI generated content defined? What are the limitations and framework? For example, if you only use AI for proofreading, review, research. When we're talking about AI generated content, it is exactly that. So the content that has been created by the AI. If you're using AI for proofreading, that does not count as AI generated. If you're using it for research, as long as you're not using the exact output that the AI you're using has provided, that does not. Anthony, you're very welcome. Of course, if you do have, I will be following up, if not by end of day tomorrow. I have a general question about titles and copyright. If an author publishes a book with an original manuscript, cover, and subtitle, but the title happens to be the same as another book already on Amazon, does PublishDrive see that as a copyright or policy problem, or is it acceptable as long as the book is completely original? This is acceptable as long as the book is completely original. So it would be a problem if the book that has the exactly same title, similar subtitle, and almost identical plot. That would be flagged as suspicious. If we're just talking about the same title, that is perfectly fine. That happens all the time. When should you pay for copyright registration as opposed to normal copyright registration after the book is ready to publish? I am not sure what the difference is, but if you're just applying for normal copyright registration, that is perfectly fine. So those are the nuances that would probably be best answered by the body that is issuing the registration. What is this validator? Is it AI or human? There are multiple options to validate books. There is an automated portion of the book validation, and then there is a human portion of the book validation. Do I need copyright registration for all the books I want to publish in PublishDrive, or is it when the platform requests for it? Proof of copyright is not requested every time. This depends on how long it takes for you to get the proof of copyright. If we're talking 4 to 6 months, like I have heard some clients have had experiences in some parts of the world, maybe you want to apply ahead of time for at least some of the titles so you can save time. So if you're looking to publish in April, so you don't have to wait till October until you receive the notification. If this is something that you can do quickly, and if you can get this within a matter of days, you can only apply after you're asked by the book review team to provide it. I hope that answers your question. Not all the books require, but in the past year or so, the stores and the aggregators have been much stricter with providing proof of copyright due to a large increase of published works. Any other questions from anyone? I have received questions that if you publish with PublishDrive, will you still be the copyright holder? Yes, absolutely. So if you're publishing the books through us, you remain the copyright holder. We get distribution rights. You still have the right to remove your books or decide in which territories or stores you want to distribute them. I'm glad that you found it helpful. I mentioned already, we have webinars once a month. So typically, once a month, we have a webinar that covers one of the topics that are most relevant for the clients. Sometimes it's best suited for first time authors who are just starting with the publishing process. Sometimes they're more focused on the technical aspect of things. Sometimes they're focused on reporting and sales. So this varies. Also in December, we had a sales call that was combined with Q&A, with a platform walkthrough and also Q&A. We will be doing more of these because we find that people come with a lot of good questions and we often don't have time for all of them. So we will be having more of these because we do want to make sure that the opportunity to ask about things that are unclear and that you can just clarify everything in real time versus via tickets. Okay, there are a couple of more questions. We have a few more minutes, so I am going to take a look. What does the copyright page document look like? It depends. It really depends on who issues it. It really doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it's issued by the correct body, it's fine. What if someone falsely claims that I'm publishing their books? Even if my book is completely original, as well as the cover, the subtitle, and everything is mine, but title is the same as their books. If this happens, this is investigated by our team first, then by the store as well. So if you own the copyright, it's just going to be an inconvenience. It can take a couple of weeks to resolve everything, but ultimately you will suffer no consequences as long as you can prove that you are the original author. Why does PublishDrive not allow protect my work for copyright, but Amazon allows it directly? Because we are working with a number of different stores and we have to make sure that books that pass book review on through our team, through PublishDrive, are eligible for publishing in all the stores that we distribute to. Different stores are going to have different sets of rules, and in order to adhere to them all, sometimes our ultimate set of rules will differ from the individual ones. What about AI voices used for audiobooks? What is your policy about them? You can use AI narration for audiobooks as long as the stores where you are looking to publish allow for AI narration. A lot of them do. There are a lot of subsets of rules for individual stores, but overall, When it comes to PublishDrive, we're perfectly fine about that. If questions about an individual store, you can reach out to our support team and they can clarify the requirements of individual stores. I hope. Thank you, everyone. As I said, everyone who applied for a webinar will be receiving a link to the recording probably in the next hour or so. You can listen to it again. You can reach out with any questions. Thank you very much for attending, everyone. Thank you for your time. I hope it was useful, and I hope to see you in our upcoming webinars. The next one is going to be last week of February. Thank you, everyone, again, and have a lovely rest of your day.